Session presented by SEPTA, a weekly recap of your 2024 Phillies, broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's. Tonight's show is brought to you by Team Toyota, BCWSA, The Capitol Grill, Independence Blue Cross, and SEPTA. Now, here are your hosts, Phillies PA announcer Dan Baker and Tommy Greene.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Chickies and Pete's. This is the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session on WBCB 1490 AM and 107.3 FM. And we're going to start off by telling you the two celebrities that are here tonight, beginning with my co-host, number 49, Tommy Greene, of course, a proud member of the 1993 National League champions. What a great year Tommy had in 93, 16-4, 200 innings pitched, a 3.42 earned run average, 167 strikeouts. But this Whiteville, North Carolina product is known by many for having thrown a no-hitter against the Montreal Expos May 23rd, 1991. And he signed a photo from my dear friend Scott Glassman, who's here tonight. And ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome our co-host this evening on the Bull Session, number 49, Phillies pitcher Tommy Greene.
Oh, man. Thanks for having me. I love hearing that every week. Every time we do the show, you make me feel like I'm 24 years old again, back on the mound getting ready to pitch.
Ellen and Jack Foreman, could you please come up here? Because, Tommy, we have a little presentation for you. So, for those of you who don't know, my very good friends, Jack and Ellen Foreman, who come to every Bull Session radio show, and they have been for years and years, and they have something for you, Tommy. Ellen, show us what you have. This is the 2023 WBCB Bull Session picture book.
That's
and
awesome.
It has all of our shows, all of the co-hosts, all of the guests. So, Joe, you're in there.
Wow.
And what else? What else, Ellen?
It has the pictures of people in the
and a lot of our devoted fans who come every week are in here.
That is awesome. Thank
Tommy,
you so much.
We wanted you to have this.
Thank you
You're
so
in
there
many times.
Wow, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But, hey, that's the guy. That's the guy here. So, look at her. That's great. Dan, you're the man.
Well,
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys.
You deserve it, Tommy.
No,
for doing such a good job.
And I got to say thank you again. You know, with the no-hitter and that, you talk about the no-hitter sometimes. I just have to say I got them before they woke up that day. It was like a 12:05 game. You know, so and Joe, I knew Joe would get a kick out of that.
Man, so we know that some of you are here to get autographs from Tommy and Joe, and I'm going to, our special guest, I'll give you a little bit of history. When my wonderful longtime friend Merrill Reese asked me to do a radio show for WBCB in 2008, he paired me with one of the most knowledgeable major league pitchers, former pitcher, and pitching coaches out there, a native Philadelphian. A native Philadelphian who went to Father Judge High School, where he was all Catholic in baseball. He also played basketball. He is 6'5". Man, Father Judge had some great teams in those years. He also pitched in the big leagues for both Montreal Expos and Baltimore Orioles. And in 1977, with Montreal, he was 3-5. He appeared in 66 games with 11 saves, and he had an earned run average in the low threes. And by the way, like Tommy Greene, he was a first-round draft pick, drafted by Montreal. He was the 10th pick in the first round. First round. That's really special. Now listen to this. Besides being a great baseball and basketball player at Father Judge in the great city of Philadelphia, he helped lead Temple University to the College World Series and a third-place finish in 1972. While he pitched in big league baseball for 4 years, he's more well-known as an outstanding coach, starting as a bullpen coach with the Expos in 1983. He was the pitching coach for 3 Montreal farm teams from 87 through 91 before becoming the pitching coach for the Montreal Expos from 92 through 96, at which time he was hired by the Boston Red Sox. He was the Red Sox pitching coach from 1997 till 2001. In addition, he was the pitching coach for the Philadelphia Phillies, 2003 and 2004. Bullpen coach for the New York Yankees, 2005 to 2007. And then, after being my partner on the Inside Pitch, that was the show that Merrill created, he was hired as pitching coach by the Pittsburgh Pirates. So I lost my then partner, Tommy.
They swooped him up.
And that's when Merrill said, who can we get? It's going to be not easy to replace Joe Kerrigan.
Yeah.
We want to get somebody with a high profile, with a Phillies background.
And guess who it was?
It was the Bull, Rick Luzinski. But we've got the original Joe Kerrigan back here.
Yeah.
And Joe, I'm going to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't know. This is the man that Pedro Martinez credits for a lot of his Hall of Fame success in the big leagues with Montreal and, of course, the Boston Red Sox, the New York Mets, and even the Philadelphia Phillies. So, Joe, I have something for you that I picked up. And
full of surprises tonight.
Yeah.
I
only brought a goodie bag over there.
this is it.
Oh, boy.
This
Wow.
is one of those realistic
Yeah, figurines.
figurines. With the bobbleheads, they have the
Wow.
funny-looking heads and all.
Sure.
This is actually looks like the guy.
Wow, that's
It does.
tremendous.
So, Joe, if anybody deserves this, it's you.
I've never seen that before.
So
There
Thank
you
you
go.
very
there
much.
you are.
Thank you.
You
What
mentored
year
him.
was that?
That's a good likeness there.
Does it have the years on it? I mean,
I'm sure it
that's
does
pretty
somewhere.
cool. We had to figure that out
Yeah.
during the break.
Thank you very much.
But, ladies and gentlemen, how about a big round of applause for Joe Kerrigan?
Thank you. Thank you.
Man, a Philadelphian, a Philly, and all that stuff. We're so glad to have you here.
It had to be a pleasure or something to watch him pitch day in and every fifth day because he was amazing. Yeah.
When he was in Boston, the day he pitched, it was an event. It was like the city shut down. It was incredible. It was the TV ratings were through the roof. You couldn't get a ticket, and the buzz in the stadium even before the game started. Just him walking from the dugout to the bullpen for his pregame warm-up, the guy got a standing ovation. I mean, it was incredible.
Now,
it really was.
Did you have him back in Montreal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I had him for nine years. 9 years I had him.
And it's unbelievable to see.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you see the development, but
Well, where he
he
grew.
always had it. But he
Yeah.
come obviously from the Dodgers
Yeah.
and seeing that because he wasn't bigger than a minute back then. But
Right.
with all that stuff he had,
And thank God Tommy Lasorda didn't see him as a starter. He says he's a small guy, small frame. He's not going to hold up as a starter. He put him in a bullpen, and we traded for him and stuck him in the starting rotation, and the rest is history.
The rest is
I think
history.
he stood up pretty well.
I would say so. It just goes to show you. I mean, they try to put you in this path or stereotype you,
Put you in a box,
and say this is the way it's going to be. But it's not that easy. I mean, you can show them, you can prove them wrong.
Yep.
Did I also say that Joe's a former manager of the Boston Red Sox?
Well,
I was wondering if you were going to say that. I remember
for 5 weeks I babysat the team.
Yeah. Well,
While they were in transition to sell it, I babysat the last of 2001, the last 5 weeks of the season.
nevertheless,
Yeah.
when you think of some of the great managers, great Ted Williams, the splendid Splinter, and some of the Red Sox greats. The fact, Joe, that you were the manager there, and it just speaks to your baseball knowledge, intelligence, how highly the players thought of you, because that could not have happened for you without a lot of things coming together.
We had a lot of great we had Jimmy Rice as our hitting coach up there. We had Tommy Harper as our base running coach. Johnny Pesky would be around all the time, trying to give advice. He was
the pesky
Oh
pole.
my God, that was a joy to see him every day. He would come in, sit down during batting practice, go around the cage, and he was allowed to sit in the dugout with permission from the other manager. He was allowed to sit in the dugout during the games. And then for some unknown reason, they changed the rule and they didn't let him sit in the dugout anymore during the games. Can you imagine not let Johnny Pesky sit in the dugout with a uniform on? To be like an assistant coach.
and how many people they have in the dugouts these days?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
unbelievable.
They got about 8 coaches now.
It's unbelievable.
And how many Philadelphia sports fans do we have out there? Many? Well, let me tell you something. I told you Joe Kerrigan was all Catholic at Father Judge. That's up here in the Northeast where we are tonight.
Yep.
Yes. Somebody's here. Are they the Crusaders?
Yes, they are.
Hear somebody cheering over there. And but Joe Kerrigan played basketball at the Palestra. He pitched at Connie Mack Stadium. He pitched at Veterans Stadium. Coached for the Phillies at Citizens Bank Park. He was a vendor at
JFK.
John F. Kennedy Stadium.
Sold programs at the Army-Navy game when I was a sophomore and junior in high school. That was great. 100,000 people. You got a quarter a program.
I had the privilege of doing the PA announcing for the Army-Navy games when they moved to Lincoln Financial Field in 2003 until this past year when they asked me and I declined because I didn't want to misrepresent myself. I hadn't done football in about 5 years, so I didn't want to go there unpracticed and not do a good job. But I loved it for the 13 years I did it and had a chance to introduce the President of the United States on a couple of occasions. And but thinking of the great Philadelphia, aren't we lucky, Joe Kerrigan and Tommy Greene? I remember old Philadelphia Convention Hall, the arena at 45th and Market. Of course, the Convention Hall was 34th and Convention Avenue, where the Philadelphia, the 76ers beat the Celtics there to win the NBA championship in '67. And just a great sports town.
Just a quick convention center. Philadelphia got a franchise in the World Hockey League. Okay, they got Bernie Perron. They got a lot of famous names to come over, right? So it's opening night, right? At Convention Center, they hand out pucks. That was the giveaway. Yeah. They're going to hand out pucks, and they were using a orange puck, like a real loud color, so the fans could follow it better. So they pre-skate, okay? They go off. Zamboni comes out on the ice, cracks the ice. Falls right to the floor to Zamboni. So after about a half hour, the game's called off. Well, you can imagine what happened next.
Oh.
Those pucks
Here they come.
There was about 5,000 pucks thrown down on that ice. That was incredible. I mean, you could have gotten killed that night. It was amazing.
Well,
so that's my experience with the World Hockey League.
Do you know who the PA announcer was?
Was that you?
Yes, right here. And they said,
You didn't get hit with a puck? A flying
no,
puck?
I was in a little booth,
Wow.
kind of a thing surrounded by.
But you do remember that, right? It's incredible.
Remember that I introduced Frank Rizzo. He came out on the. They said, Dan, don't announce a thing until you bring the mayor out here, because at that time he was beloved, and I think they thought that he could quell any anger. Woo! No,
Or are they wrong?
They came
kept
down.
frying those pucks, boy.
Mayor Rizzo, or no, those pucks came down.
That was amazing.
My God.
Man, oh man! But
I got a quick question. I mean, you're a big man, right?
Yeah.
I've never been inside Boston's Fenway. Right?
Yeah.
I've been on the outside of it. Never been in the dugouts there.
Yeah.
I know in Wrigley Field, I still got a soft spot in the top of my head where that died on the top of my hat. I'd hit on the ceiling.
Yep.
Now, what kind of
Tight.
It was the same. Was it the
Tight.
same in Boston?
The corridors are tight. The locker
Did you
room
ever-
was really tight.
I'm just talking.
Yeah.
Did you hit your head in the dugout? Because you're a big man.
No, I was always smart enough to stand out in front.
So they are short like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like you
Somebody hits a home run and you sit
go
there
up
and
like
you're
that,
there.
you about knock yourself out. I still got a sore spot on the top of my head.
No, Yankee Stadium was really tight too. The old Yankee
I've never
Stadium.
seen. I come up and played it before the interleague, so it was like you played the American League in the World Series. That was it.
Detroit was the worst. Detroit was lower than Chicago. In fact, the dugout was so low, if you sat down, you looked out on the field, you couldn't see second or third base because you're sitting below the field that much. You couldn't see the bases.
Wow.
It was
It was built for Sparky, huh?
For Ty Cobb. Hey, guys are 5'5", 5'6". The dugouts in Detroit, Chicago's old ballpark, were built that way. It was something.
I mean, you're sitting on. I know in Chicago, you're sitting on the bench. I mean, you sit. You come in and something happens. You go like that, and you'll knock yourself out almost. You sprain your neck.
Yeah.
well, speaking of Detroit, one of the reasons we're on at 5:30 tonight, 5:30 to 6:30, on WBCB 1490 AM, 107.3 FM, and we're also live streamed on WBCBsports.com or our YouTube page, WBCB Sports. So Phillies and Detroit immediately following the Bull Session. The Bull Session immediately follows this first commercial break.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. The summer of shellfish is back with all your favorites, including our sensational seafood boil, sticky lobster tails, chilled crab tacos, seasonal herb mussels, seafood pasta, and more. Full menu at chickiesandpete's.com. Plus, don't miss our incredible buy one, get one snow crab legs every Tuesday and Wednesday. It's Summer of Shellfish only at Chickies and Pete's.
Bringing in top talent is as easy as 1, 2, Key. SEPTA Key Advantage is a unique and valuable transit benefit program that gives your employees all-day, everyday access to the entire SEPTA system. That means your staff can get into the office, over to a meeting, and out for the night, seamlessly and affordably, all thanks to you. Learn how easy it is to customize a SEPTA Key Advantage program for your team at SEPTA.org/partner programs. That's SEPTA.org/partner programs.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
Hi, Paul Muller from Team Toyota of Langhorne. If you've been waiting to buy your next pre-owned vehicle due to surging used car prices, then we have some great news for you. With over 45 used cars under $20,000, we have something for every budget. Plus, with our MVP pricing guarantee, warranty forever, and free maintenance for 1 year, you can rest assured that you're getting a reliable used car at a great price. Visit us in Langhorne on Route 1 or shop online at teamlanghorne.com.
We now return to the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session presented by SEPTA. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies PA announcer Dan Baker and Tommy Greene.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Welcome to Chickies and Pete's on the Boulevard. This is where our radio show started like 18 years ago, Joe.
That's
And
right.
It was you and I, and we did all the shows at that time right here.
Yeah.
Right here on the Boulevard.
2002, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a nice little round table, look like setup right here.
Oh, and this is exactly where we were. Chris Ermer was just a baby then.
Yes, he
And
was.
He
He's a young pup.
our producer. Mike Flaherty.
Yes.
Is Mike Flaherty here?
Chris.
Mike, come on up here for a minute. Chris, I don't know if you can see this. Mark Weissner always gives us a lot. We have the best fans.
Yeah, Mark's
the
awesome.
Foremans, the Steinbachers. Are Sean and Tara here? Anyway, can you see this? Mike Flaherty took a picture from a time Philadelphia Magazine did a story on me. And
That's awesome.
Oh, that's
then
cool.
they put a thing on the back. Anyway, Mike, I wanted to thank you. This is Mike right here. His son is like a world-class weightlifter. First of all, Mike, I have a Richie Ashburn ball. It has his, career on the back. Of course, he's a member of the Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame, Phillies Wall of Fame, and now it's a printed signature. It's not actually Richie's. But, Mike, that's for you. And so is this wonderful book. I don't even know. I read it the other week, but there's a lot of great history in this book. So that's for you. And thanks for coming to so many shows. Is Steve Scalish out there?
I haven't seen him yet.
Now, I called him today on the phone and said he's going to be here because I brought something for him. So
Well, he probably got tied up in the same traffic Joe got in.
Okay, if he shows up, I've got something for him. And
It's like Santa Claus over here.
I want to thank you.
I know.
Thank you.
Got a goodie bag over there.
Oh, thank you.
How about that? He made.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Joe, can you show those to Chris so people? He made a baseball card up for Joe
Yes.
Kerrigan.
All clean
Great.
shaven.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
Okay. And Joe, if you don't mind holding mine up, they couldn't see it
Oh,
from
sure.
this angle.
Well, he's
That's
got-
a great character.
He's got the long arm of the law right there.
Philadelphia
He can reach
Magazine.
Can you see it now, Chris?
it. That's-
It's probably because I'm so ugly.
They got hey, they got to get my picture off the dartboard over there to bring.
They're going to screen that. Anyway, if Steve shows up, we've got something for him too. But Tommy Greene, and you'll remember, Joe, from our time, and by the way, just about every year since when he wasn't, coaching, or we've had Joe on as a guest, and you never fail to do a great job.
Well,
Thank you. That's kind of you.
I tell
Thank
you
you.
what, there's nobody sitting here and talk. Start talking baseball and start pitching and just baseball in general. This man right here is a book of knowledge. I mean, it's a pleasure to sit down and just listen to him once we get on something.
Well, thank you.
Gus Grensky, come on up here. I know I just met Gus, and Gus, Joe, hold that up. Gus, hold that up. Can we see this, Chris, at all? There, look at that, folks. Isn't that nice?
Oh, you got Dude on there. You
So-
got Kurt and Schilling, Tug, and you got a bunch of people.
Well,
Huge.
anyway,
Charlie?
this guy, to show you the nice people that we have coming to all those shows, he brought this up for me. Gus, thank you. And I'm going to put that over here. Great. Thank you. So if we're through with presentations, we want to get it.
Christmas in
We're
June.
going to get your opinion, Joe,
Yes.
on this year's Phillies, and Tommy updates us, and so Tommy Greene,
Yeah.
have the Phillies lived up to your expectations? What have you liked the best?
Wow.
Is there anything that you think needs improving if indeed the Phillies can go on and win their third ever World Series?
Get off this little bit of injury slide they've been on a little bit lately. Get their guys healthy, and that's a huge thing. But being a pitcher and Joe being a pitcher and a pitching coach and stuff like that, I'm just ecstatic with the way the start rotation is done to start off this year and what they've given us. Because I think the way to it is through you pitching and defense up the middle, and I think they've done a real good job at that, and they're trying to solidify. I think the center field part, getting somebody out there, on a regular basis. Obviously we had Rojas out there. He could play some D, but now we're trying to find that center fielder playing Pache and who's the other guy?
Marsh.
Platoon. And they're platooning them out there. But I think that's the road. You've been around baseball long enough. Being a pitcher on the mound, you look behind you out there and you're up the middle. If you're solid up the middle making the routine plays, with the pitching staff they got, it's fun. To me, it's fun to watch a well-pitched ball game, and I've thoroughly enjoyed that.
Steve's here.
Joe Kerrigan, native Philadelphian, very excellent coach. You must be pleased, being a native Philadelphian and Phillies fan, with what this pitching staff has done. And, Joe, you were telling Tommy Greene and me something before tonight's show about pitching location for the Phillies starters and relievers. I wonder if you could embellish that and enlighten our live audience and those watching or listening at home.
Well, their starters are old school, in that they're all ground ball guys. They keep the ball out of the air. And when you're a ground ball pitcher, usually it takes 3 hits to score a run off you. And like you said, they pitch to their defense. They have good control. They change speeds. They don't have a guy that throws 100 in the starting rotation. They have the best ground ball ratio as a group of starters in the game. And then when you turn it over to the bullpen's the exact opposite. They're all high in the zone, flamethrowers, 95 to 100, 101 miles an hour. They got 4 of those guys down there. So they complement each other really well. You got ground ball guys that keep the ball down in the starting rotation, and then when you turn it over to the bullpen, it's the extreme opposite. So I think that makes them really dangerous also. And that, let's get into their bullpen. Get in. You can't say that with the Phillies. You can't.
They got some octane down there, man.
But I think one thing they do need, and I think Dombrowski's going to do his best job at this, I think they need a legitimate closer. They need a big-time, legitimate, solid closer. It's hard to do it in the playoffs, man, when you're going to use 2 different closers, one this day and one the other. You need that reliable guy down there that shut it down. That's it.
Yeah.
You see him come out of the bullpen, the game's over. And I think they're going to prioritize that first, along with, like you said, a center fielder.
Yeah, every day. And you mentioned something about the ground ball, and they're playing in a ballpark that's conducive for the long ball.
Fly ball park.
Here's a stat here for the year. Starters, they're 24th giving up, like 45 home runs for the year. The year.
Amazing, isn't it?
So, they're not giving up the most. There's 30 teams.
Right.
30th being the best in baseball at not giving home runs. So, and then you go to the relievers. The relievers are 29th.
Yeah.
There's one better team better than the relievers. We haven't given up, knock on the woods, we haven't given up the long ball.
Right.
Which is huge.
Yep.
And what's been so amazing is like Christopher Sanchez. He's given up 1 all year.
Yeah.
It's, it's unbelievable. In that ballpark, it's unbelievable.
You get a guy like that you're really not counting on, and then he gives you a year like this or a start of the season like this, you're in for something special. Yeah. Something's happening out there that's pretty special.
Good.
And they're entertaining to watch. And, if you go around the city and you go out to eat and TVs are on, Phillies are on and the people are watching it.
Yeah.
At our club, Bluebell Country Club, all the TVs. We got 13 TVs. Every TV is on whenever the Phillies are on. It's great. And they have beer specials, they have wing specials when the Phillies are playing. I think that's great. So they really have gotten back to capturing the city again, I think, as a team.
It's amazing what winning does, isn't it?
Yep. that and they have likable young guys, players you can identify with. Harper identifies great. Stott identifies great. You name it. Marsh, they identify.
Schwarber.
Turner, Schwarber, they identify their fans. The fans love them.
We have to take our second commercial break, which means we're halfway through tonight's edition of the Independence Blue Cross Bowl Session. And that Steve Scalish has arrived and will join us during the second half of tonight's show. Don't go away, everybody. And the Phillies and Detroit Tigers are coming up after our show.
1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM W297CL Levittown.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. The summer of shellfish is back. Treat yourself to our mouth-watering seafood boil with crab legs, shrimp, clams, mussels, and more. Try our calamari salad with a luscious, spicy, and sweet olive dressing. Or enjoy our delightful seafood pasta featuring crab, shrimp, and penne pasta in our world-famous red or Sicilian sauce. It's the summer of shellfish, only at Chickies and Pete's.
I SEPTA Philly.
I SEPTA Philly. I SEPTA Philly.
I take SEPTA so I never miss tip-off.
I do not have time to deal with traffic.
I don't have a car. Do you know how expensive parking is?
I take the Broad Street line to all the games.
I ride the bus.
I ride the train and the subway. I set my lineup when I ride.
I check Twitter, text my buddies.
I watch sports highlights or lowlights.
For real Philly fans, SEPTA is the hometown way to go. Ride with us at iseptaphilly.com.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
Hi, Paul Muller from Team Toyota of Langhorne. If you've been waiting to buy your next pre-owned vehicle due to surging used car prices, then we have some great news for you. With over 45 used cars under $20,000, we have something for every budget. Plus, with our MVP pricing guarantee, warranty forever, and free maintenance for 1 year, you can rest assured that you're getting a reliable used car at a great price. Visit us in Langhorne on Route 1 or shop online at teamlanghorne.com.
We now return to the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session presented by SEPTA. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies PA announcer Dan Baker and Tommy Greene.
And Tommy's and my special guest tonight, Northeast Philadelphia native, one of the all-time great athletes from Father Judge High School and Temple University, Joe Kerrigan. and we did find Steve Scalish, and he was behind you in the traffic, Joe. And Steve, like Mike Flaherty and Mark Weissner and the Foremans and the Steinbachers are always bringing in nice things for us. And I just wanted to return the favor. Last Friday night, as you guys know, the Phillies honored Cole Hamels. Can you see that, Chris? Another one of these lifelike figurines. And Steve is kind enough to do a bunch of baseball cards of us. He's done them of Tommy and me and Joe tonight, thanks to Mike. And so, Steve, I had the pleasure of serving as MC for the Cole Hamels ceremony, and I hope you folks like the Phillies salute to number 35, Cole Hamels. Steve Scalish, that's for you.
Appreciate it, Dan. Thank
You're welcome, Steve. And keep coming to the Bull Session on WBCB and at Chickies and Pete's on the Boulevard in Northeast Philadelphia. And we're at different Chickies and Pete's each week, and we're so grateful that you guys are hosting us. Tommy,
Yes.
who have you selected as the Independence Blue Cross Live Fearless Phillies Player of the Week?
Well, I tell you what, I'm giving a little bit of love, and to me it's been I've been waiting for this to happen a little bit because I think we really, if we can get him going good, on an extended run, it was just going to make a huge difference in the way the offense does. I'm picking Nick Castellanos, for that. He had a great week. Stats, just stat-wise, you go back. He had in 6 games, he had 23 ABs, 11 hits, 4 doubles, scored 3 runs. He had 2 home runs and 8 RBIs, and he's not punching out like he used to. So, he's putting the ball in play, which led into an average of 478 for the week or something like that. 478 for the week. And that's something I wanted to give him a little bit of love because it's well deserved. This week, and I'm just trying to give him a little good mojo so we can keep it going a little bit. I think he deserves that this week. He had a great week.
And that's coming off an 0 for 17 road trip the week before.
Yeah.
That's amazing how he got totally cold to totally hot. It's incredible.
Well, I mean,
hitters are like that. It's streaky hitters.
You see that over the course of baseball in your career. You've seen guys get hot, and I mean, sometimes they'll come in and say, "I'm just not seeing it." So I mean, they go through these spells, and how many times you hear? I mean, pitchers go through a little bit of funk too. Out there, I mean, things they get out of whack just a tough, and that's as far as I've done a little bit of pitching coaches, but you did it a lot. And our job as pitching coaches were, hey, on the fly. What are we seeing that he's doing? Why is he missing what he's doing? We got to make a quick adjustment. When he's not making the adjustment, he says, "Hey, I'm seeing this." So we go give him a breather. You say, "Hey, do what you need to do. This is what you're good at." And that little bit of fix could be the thing that gets him back on track. And I've seen that happen a lot.
Joe, I remember you telling me years ago when you were a big league pitching coach for a number of teams, including your Philadelphia Phillies, about pitching philosophies, and you're just talking about how our starters are ground ball pitchers, a lot of them. The relievers are high, hard ball pitchers. And I remember you were talking about how you would pitch Mike Lieberthal because he was a notorious, Tommy, first ball swinger.
Oh, he was
he's hunting fastballs, especially on the first pitch. And nowadays, the last 15, 20 years, they have so much information that how much a guy is swinging at the first pitch.
Yeah.
You know what the league average is, and you know if that guy's near 50% or 55% swinging at the first pitch, he's not going to get a fastball first pitch. We even have stats now. What percentage does he swing at the first pitch with runners in scoring position, most importantly? And a lot of those guys that swing at the first pitch, they go up even more with runners in scoring position. So what you would do is you're not going to give him a fastball. You tell your catcher to set up in an 0-2 position and then throw a breaking ball. And usually the guy would get himself out, You know how long guys at bat last overall with nobody on. And then you go to the runners in scoring position. Oh, he lasts 3.7 pitches per at bat with nobody on, but he goes down to 3.1 with runners in scoring position. Well, they're no panic guys. You know that at bat's going to get over in 3 pitches or less. So I'm not sitting down the middle as a catcher, and I'm not giving in with a fastball because he's going to panic before my pitcher's going to panic. And that's the way you can make a living getting those guys out. You really can.
Yeah, I mean, you learn. I remember back in the day, they used to talk. It was like some of the guys, the Latin guys, they're playing how they get off the island. They're hunting the fastball. They were swinging first pitch, and we sort of pitched backwards, a lot. But and we were taught also as pitchers, and you can tell me your theory on it. Still, I think the best pitch in baseball is a well-placed fastball. You don't have to be perfect, but if you're out of the middle of the plate and you got movement down in the zone, hitters can get themselves out. They can hunt fastballs all they want, if you locate it, if you're locating it. Now, if you miss in the zone, that's when you pay the piper, So, I mean, it goes kind of hand in hand a little bit. Just because the guy's a notorious fastball hitter don't mean you can't throw one. You can put one in a quality area. He get him own self out. I mean, I look at it that way too. Maddox made a good living doing that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Tommy and Joe, a little bit of dilemma that could be facing the Phillies. Taijuan Walker taken out of the rotation. Spencer Turnbull returns to the rotation. What's going to happen at the end of this when Taijuan hopefully is healthy and that hot spot on his finger has healed? But so far, Taijuan has not had a lot of good starts. Although record-wise, I think he's like 3-3.
Yeah, he's been up and down.
Well, he's been up and down, but I mean, I think that the tendency is when he pitches, they find a way to win. Which is some good mojo to have. But I know what we're talking about here, him coming back. I mean, I've heard the people say the splitter is a big pitch for him. Yeah, a splitter's to me is not made to be thrown for a strike. To me, command of his other pitches is the issue. I think more so than anything. His command has got to be better when he comes back, and obviously that if his command's better, that means he's getting ahead in the count more, which allows him to maybe throw that split that doesn't have to be a strike. It's made to be thrown down in the zone that appears to be a strike and leaves the zone. That gets those outs we need or the swing and misses that he's looking for. It's all about health. I hope he that's all it is a hot spot on his finger. But I think he's got something to prove when he's come back. I think.
Joe?
Well, he's gone on the 15-day DL, so you figure he's probably going to miss at least 3 weeks. By that time in the point in schedule, you're going to be down to about 60, 55 games. If Turnbull goes into the rotation and pitches well again, I'm sorry, you're staying in the rotation. Walker's probably going to have to go to the bullpen with 60, 55 games left of the season, because now this is we're not experimenting.
You're short timing.
Yeah. We're finishing strong here. We want to grab that home field advantage throughout the playoffs. We don't want to mess with that. So I think that's where they're going to go. May the best man win.
Joe, you also mentioned earlier in tonight's bull session that maybe the biggest Phillies trade deadline need is a legitimate closer.
Yep.
Is there anybody off the top of your head, Joe, that you would identify that might be available who would fit that bill for the Phillies?
That's a good wish list.
There's probably a half a dozen guys out there, but you don't know how things are going to shake. Our team's going to be buyers or sellers.
Yeah.
You don't know how they shake out. Do I have the guy under control for another year, or do I just get a rent? I rent the guy for the last 2 months. I mean, a lot of that goes into the equation, and there's probably going to be at least a half a dozen quality close the door type relievers.
Can you
out there.
Speculate a few of those names?
No, you know what? Everybody talks about the kid from Oakland that throws 102, 103 miles an hour.
That's going to
but that'll cost you your five best prospects.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Phillies are going to go there. I mean, some of these guys, the White Sox will probably have a fire sale. They have pretty good arms in their pen. But again,
Kopech,
if they're going to ask you for 2 or 3 of your best prospects, I don't think the Phillies are willing to do that. I think they've spent too much time and money building up their minor leagues to where they have a good system right now. Yeah. They're one of the best in the game.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to tear that down just for a 2-month run or a 2-month rental.
Yeah, agreed. That's
Tommy,
agreed.
Are there any names that off the top of your head that come to mind?
I'm like Joe. I mean, it's got to be the right thing that happens. It's got to come. And we all know Dombrowski is not afraid to do things. but it's got to be the right thing, and they have worked hard with their minor league system to have some guys that can come up and help.
Hey, this guy Mercado that they just brought up.
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of good things.
Yeah.
What have you heard, Tommy?
Well, I mean, I just heard. I mean, he's done well, and I mean, he's hot, and he's earned the right to come up here, and that's the way the opportunity. I think they should give guys the opportunity if they got a need for somebody to come in and fill in. That's the way you get these guys exposed to it. How do you know they can do the job here unless they get the opportunity? You can speculate all you want. Until you throw them in the fire a little bit and see what they do and get their feet going a little bit. And I got a little taste, hey, I know I can pitch here. And sometimes that's all it takes. Once they believe they can do that, they do it, and that type of thing. But as far as having a name, as far as guys possibly could come here, I mean, anything can happen. It all depends on what they decide to do. What's too much and what's not, to pull the trigger on. And then it all depends on the team who's willing to they're selling. That's like Joe said. Yeah, they got to be willing to sell.
Okay, when we come back, we have one more commercial break. And, Joe, I want to ask you about Rob Thompson, who, like yourself, was a long-time, very successful coach who made that transition to manager. And he's just done an exceptional job.
I was with him in New York for 3 years at the Yankees.
I thought that might be the case. We'll be right back with Tommy Greene, Joe Kerrigan, and me, Dan Baker, after this.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. The summer of shellfish is back. Indulge in our sweet and spicy sticky lobster tails with cilantro and lime. Enjoy Chicky and Pete's chilled crab tacos bursting with snowy white lump crab meat. Treat yourself to our mouth-watering seafood boil with crab legs, shrimp, clams, mussels, and more. Or dive into our tasty seasonal herb mussels, prepared to perfection in our delicious zesty broth. It's the summer of shellfish, only at Chickies and Pete's.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
SEPTA offers a variety of career opportunities. Our core business is transit, and with 5 modes of service, we rely on and need operators, engineers, and conductors. But it takes a host of other specialties, including mechanics, electricians, plumbers, masons, painters, carpenters, welders, and more to keep the system moving. As an employee, you will earn competitive compensation and great benefits, including medical, dental, prescription, and a pension. Visit jobs.septa.org to apply today. That's jobs.septa.org.
We now return to the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session presented by SEPTA. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies PA announcer Dan Baker and Tommy Greene.
Hey, we hear the Joe Kerrigan fan club over there, and we're glad you're here tonight with Joe and
Father
Tommy Greene. Dan Baker here. And as we went to that, our last commercial break of the night, the next subject we're getting into is the Phillies' wonderful manager, Rob Thompson. And when Joe Kerrigan was a Yankees coach, of course, Rob Thompson had to be in the Yankees system for over 20 years, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Minor league guy. He was a salt of the earth minor league manager, minor league field coordinator, ran the minor leagues for several years, the great organizer, and what a nice man. I had the opportunity to drive into a Yankee Stadium with them every day because we stayed at the same apartment complex in New Jersey, and I got to know him quite well and really enjoyed his company. He is a man's man.
Well, I'll tell you what a gentleman, and I really thought another former Yankee that you're familiar with, Joe Girardi, was going to do a great job here, a great baseball man. Manager of the year, Tommy, with the Marlins.
I played against Joe, and I played against Topper in the minor leagues.
Okay,
I
played.
I faced Topper a few times back when I was young. I think it might have been Gastonia back in the day when he.
Yeah.
I think I about hit him, or I did. I think he come up to me this past spring training. I was down in Clearwater, and he said, "You might not remember this, but I remember it." He said, "You got me pretty good," So it was one of those type. I said, "You can't. All the guys you face, you can't quite remember, everybody." But it was pretty special. And obviously, I faced Joe in the big leagues when he was with the Cubs and stuff like that. But I thought Joe was going to be a good thing. It just didn't materialize that way. It's just as far as that, it didn't stay. Now, and Topper's come right in. I think his demeanor, the way he comes across to people, and the way he talks to people. Joe knows more about it than I do because he coached with him and been around him a lot. I think the way he comes off and the way he communicates is with his guys on the team is a huge thing.
Joe, could you embellish that?
Well, I told the story last year. They asked me what's Thompson like. I said, "Did you ever see the movie Saving Private Ryan?" Yeah. Well, he's Tom Hanks, is what he is. He's that old school teacher, very comfortable in his skin. You like to be around. People gravitate towards him. He's mild mannered, but he can be serious. Yeah. He can be serious, but he's very comfortable when he walks into the locker room, and you can feel it. Guys, okay. This is not a hard ass. This is not a guy pretending to be a tough guy. And he really is. He's a joy to be around, and I think that's why people gravitate to him, and his players feel the same way about him.
It seems like he'd be a person that you could, as a player, you could go talk. You feel like you can talk to him.
Yep.
And I know the manager I played for in Philly, when I was here, the longest obviously was Jim Fugosi. It was such a pleasure to have that feeling. Sort of the same day. The door was open. You felt like you could talk to Jimmy about anything, type thing. And I was fortunate to play for some good. A couple of great managers with Bobby Cox and Chuck Tanner back in the day, and their communication skills, the way they treated you was pretty good.
And Jim Fregosi, Tom, like you, was also fortunate to have a teammate, and you're very active in the Darren Dalton Foundation.
Oh, yes.
He had strong leadership from the players.
Oh God, yeah. For as I know, our club in Philly, I think the easiest job, as far as out there, were the coaches, of our coaching staff, and the manager, because nothing, if it needed to be handled, the players did it, and we had a leader in that clubhouse with Darren Dalton. It was, it didn't never reach that office or that back room, really. It was handled before it even got there. It was taken care of, whatever. And that's what you want. You want the players to recognize and do things, not wait for, a coach to get angry or a GM to come down, which it's happened. It's happened. We called Lee Thomas Mad Dog for a reason. He'd come down. He'd come down and snap with the best of them. If we had, we had a couple teams that were pretty miserable at one time, and it got your attention. Sometimes that's what you need. A manager's got to get, come grab you and give you a little.
Close the doors.
But we had some coaches that you see. One of the best coaches ever, I think, God bless his soul, John Vukovic.
Yeah.
It was a man, and I think about him often, and he made a difference in my life, helped me grow up, because I was a young guy when I come here. He set me straight on a few things, and I loved him even more for it after you got over the initial shock.
Well, he was on.
But it was like anything. You learn, you appreciate that. Because John told me, he says, the reason I did that was because I love you, and I care about you, and you're better than that. And I'm going to let you know every time, if something like whatever was going on. And it just made you understand, help you grow up a little bit. Hey, I'm not going. He's right, and that's the way you learn and grow, and even as adults. Yeah. We're fallible, we make mistakes, and it's good to be pointed out and held accountable for it too.
Joe, were you and John Vukovic on the same Phillies coaching staff when Larry Bowe was the manager?
Best man.
Oh man, what do you need? I got a plumber for you. You got a How about a painter? I get you a painter real cheap. Carpenter, what do you need? Carpenter, what do you need? That guy knew everybody in the city and Jersey. If you need anything, He got me trees one time.
I know a guy.
He got me 10 trees one time from Jersey. Here comes this truck pulling up, and 10 big Christmas trees that I'm planting in the backyard. This guy, he knew everybody. This guy, he was incredible.
Well,
he had a heart. His heart was so big. It was incredible.
Yeah, I agree. And I got fortunate. I mean, I was, I've sort of spoiled, the coaching staff I had with Fergosi, and then you had Vuk, and you had Boa.
Yeah.
And I had Johnny Padres as a pitching coach. You talk about, and there's different pitching coaches. Johnny Padres was a motivator, and it made you believe you were.
Yeah.
You were good.
Kurt Schilling.
It's about believing.
Kurt Schilling. Yeah.
It's unbelievable the way he come across. And I mean, this one in particular time, he come out to the mound with me, and they were scuffling a little bit, and Dutch is out there with me, and he's coming, hey, man, you got good stuff today. Man, you're doing fine. You're doing it. And he turns around, and, Pod's walk. He walked back to the dugout, and Dutch is still standing there. And I look at Dutch. I said, what game's he watching? And Dutch starts laughing, and we kind of chuckle. And sometimes that's all you need.
Break it down.
You just take a deep breath. It breaks the tension and helps you relax a little bit. And that's what, and then Dutch says, follow me. He says, we got to use this little smoke and mirror, so let's go. Well, trust me. Trust me.
Joe, what approach did you use? Now, the pitching coach usually precedes the manager when the pitcher's starting to struggle and they may start thinking about a relief pitcher.
I want to know some of the best conversations you've had out there.
Good.
Well, it was all the here and now. I went out there and I said, okay, first pitch swinger. Let's set up 0-2. Let's throw him a breaking ball. He's going to hit a ground ball to short. We're going to get out of this. You give him a plan right now. You don't want to talk about the past, because the reason why I'm out there, because the past isn't going too good. So I'm talking about the now and the future. So I would break down this hitter for him pitch by pitch, and I would tell the catcher where to set up. Now he's thinking about that and not having the bases loaded or just giving up a couple of runs.
About executing.
Because when I go there, I don't have enough time to BS. So I'm going to tell you how to do your job over the next 4, 5, 6 pitches. I'm going to give you a plan of attack right now, and that's going to take your mind off the past, and you can, hey, damn, I got a way out of this, don't I? As a pitcher. So that's what I tried to do, and maybe as I'm leaving, hey, you're starting your hands a little quick. Slow down a little bit. You're getting a little jabby on yourself. Just one little thing maybe.
I think the biggest key, I know is I look at it as pitching coaches sometime, and is each we got 10 guys. Back in the day, we had 10 guys on the staff. Now it's more. I think the job's even tougher.
13. That's why you have 2 pitching coaches.
You got to know what makes each guy tick a little bit. You got to know his tendencies. Does he tend to get it a little bit uptight, or he's a cool customer like Ranger, or Sanchez? I think that's a huge thing. What Sanchez watching Ranger doing what he did. I think he's learned a lot from Ranger. He's a cool, calm customer too out there a little bit, But I think a job is the quick fix. What a pitching coach sees when he goes out there is knowing that guy's tendencies. When he's under pressure. Does he tend to get uptight, or you give him too much? I was a guy. I didn't need that much information. I didn't need a lot of things going on. I needed that break. He said, all right. John Vukovich put it well. To me, he used to do the advanced scouting meetings, and he knew I was pitching that day because he put Fergosi's lineup on the board out there. And he said, and we'd leave the room. He said, hey, Tom, you pitching today? I said, yes, sir. He says, forget everything we just said. High fastballs, hard sliders, go get them. Don't think. He says, do what you do well. If you do that, they're going to have a tough time.
Thank you, Tommy Greene and
you got it.
Joe Kerrigan.
Thank you, Dan.
That concludes tonight's edition of the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session. Next Monday, July 1st, 6 o'clock, we'll be at Chickies and Pete's in Marlton. Brandon Duckworth will be our guest. Good night, everybody, and now you can listen to or watch the Phillies and Detroit Tigers in Interleague Baseball.
Aaron Nola. Nola.